Grishma Dalal. In pharmaceutical biotechnology, we are going to see about use of microbes in industry. This is part 1. In the last lecture number 6, we have already seen a little introduction about what are the uses of microbes and what are the what can we say benefits of enzymes in the industry. In this lecture, we are going to study in this and the coming lecture, which is part 2. We are going to study about the use of microbes in industry in detail. In the syllabus, as per the PCI, we are going to focus on 6 main enzymes which are produced by microorganisms base. So let us study. So for what are we going to cover? The first of all, in this lecture, part 1 lecture, we are going to cover about amylase, catalase and peroxidase. So these 3 are the major enzymes which we are going to cover in part 1. In part 2, there will be again 3 next enzymes, lipase, protease and penicillinase. So what actually are we going to study in this? First one is types and classifications, if there are any. There will be types and classifications which are really important. Then substrate, if they have any. Then production, this is the most important part of the whole lecture, both part 1 and part 2. And last but not the least, of course, the applications in detail. This lecture will cover major points and I will be telling you some important points also, so it will be really good for all the students that you write down those important points, and we will look further in detail about how these enzymes are produced and why their production on the base of microorganism level is important. So let us start. The first one here that we are going to start about the enzyme is amylase. So here in amylase, first of all, we are going to focus on types of amylase. So first is alpha amylase. It might be possibility that you must have heard about these in your past semesters. But in this, we are going to study about the enzymes in a little bit deep, right? So first of all is alpha amylase. Alpha amylase is what? It is a hydrolyzable enzyme that will catalyze the hydrolysis of internal alpha 1 4 glycosidic linkages in starch to yield products like glucose and maltose. It is calcium metalloenzyme, that is, it depends on the presence of metal cofactor for its activity. So alpha amylase is it is what? It is a hydrolase or hydrolyzable enzyme which will catalyze the hydrolysis. It will, what do you mean by catalyze the hydrolysis? It means that it will speed the reaction of hydrolysis of internal alpha 1 4 glycosidic linkage in starch to yield products like glucose and maltose. And it is a calcium metalloenzyme, that is, it depends on the presence of metal cofactor. It will depend highly on metal cofactors, and there are 2 types of what can we say, hydrolase or hydrolyze enzyme, endohydrolase and exohydrolases, right? So again, alpha amylase is divided into 2 categories or classified into 2 types, that is endohydrolase and exohydrolase. Generally, endohydrolase will act on the interior surface of substrate molecule, right? If any molecule is there, substrate molecule is there, then endo, which means it will act interiorly, right? I hope you are understanding what this means, right? And whereas exo, it depends on the name, right? It will act on the terminal non-reducing ends outside, right? So exo means outside and endo means inside. But what inside, outside? Endohydrolase will act inside on the interior of the substrate molecule. If there is any substrate molecule, then endohydrolase enzymes will act interiorly, right? Now what are the role of enzyme? They will catalyze the reactions, right? So it will work interiorly, right? Now, one more thing that is important, that is optimal pH for the activity is found to be 7.0. So at this pH, the maximum activity will be seen. Now there is one more thing you should know, and that is about that alpha amylase is a major digestive enzyme. You must have heard about this, right? And its optimum pH is 6.7 to 7.0, and it is generally found in saliva and pancreatic juice. It takes starch chains and breaks them into smaller pieces with 2 to 3 glucose units, and it can break down starch into maltose, and it works in the mouth and stomach during digestion. So please remember these facts, that it works in mouth and stomach during digestion. That is the main reason why alpha amylase is known as digestive enzyme. Remember this point because this can be asked in your MCQ exam also, right? The next type that we are going to see is beta amylase. Beta amylase is a exohydrolase enzyme that acts from non-reducing end of polysaccharide chain by hydrolysis of alpha 1 4 glucan linkages to yield a successive maltose unit. Now if you rewind the alpha amylase section, then you will see there was hydrolysis of alpha 1 4 glycosidic linkages, right? But in this beta amylase, it will be 4 glucan linkages that will give you maltose unit, right? Now this, since it is unable to cleave, right, since it is unable to cleave branched linkages in the branched polysaccharide such as glycogen or amylopectin, the hydrolysis is incomplete and dextrin units remain. Primary sources of beta amylase, as you can see, seeds of higher plants and sweet potatoes. So these are what? These are the primary sources where you can find beta amylase. In sweet potato, there is high amount of beta amylase, right? And also seeds of higher plants. Now, the most interesting fact is this, that during ripening of fruits, beta amylase break down starch into maltose, resulting in the sweetness of the ripened fruit. This is very interesting fact, and you can also tell anybody practically about this, that when the fruits are being ripe, beta amylase is responsible for breaking down of starch into maltose, which will give the sweetness of ripened fruit, right? So this is very interesting fact that you will remember by default. Now again I am going to memorize a little bit. Alpha amylase is known as a digestive enzyme because it will act in mouth and in stomach during digestion, while beta amylase is responsible for ripening of fruits. In ripening of fruits, it will break down starch into maltose, and for that your fruit will become sweet. The optimal pH of the enzyme ranges from 4.0 to 5.5. See, this is very important to remember, that these pHs you have to remember because this can be asked in your MCQ exam. What is the pH of alpha amylase? What is the pH of beta amylase, etc. Right? So remember this, right? Now next, still it is not over. The third and the last one is gamma amylase. This gamma amylase will cleave alpha 1 to 6 glycosidic linkages. Cleave means break down. It will break down alpha 1 to 6 glycosidic linkages, and in addition to cleaving to last alpha 1 4 glycosidic linkages at the non-reducing end of amylose and amylopectin, unlike the other form of amylase yielding glucose. So what will happen in this? What gamma amylase will do? Gamma amylase will break down the glycosidic bonds. Again, to remind you, alpha and gamma, both, not beta. Beta have glucan linkages, but alpha and gamma both have glycosidic linkages, and in a gamma amylase, it will break the 1,4 glycosidic linkages at the non-reducing end. That is, it will work exohydrolase type. Right, it will work outside, non-reducing end of amylose and amylopectin, right? Unlike the other form of amylase which will give you glucose. again the point to remember here is at which pH it will be highly active, most efficient in acidic environment and has an optimum pH of 3, right? So this is what this is the pH at which it will be highly active, right? Next is substrate. Now the substrate that alpha amylase acts upon is starch. You have to remember this point. This is extremely important. Starch is nothing but it is a polysaccharide which has two types of polymer, amylose and amylopectin. As I said earlier, there will be many things that you might have already been heard about and studied about, right? So there will be two type of polymer, amylose and amylopectin. Amylose have 20 to 25% and amylopectin have 75 to 80% of starch. Again, this point is most important. It can be asked in your MCQ exam, right? Give the percentage of starch in amylose. Give the percentage of amylopectin in starch, right? So remember these percentage, amylose and amylopectin, 20 to 25% and 75 to 80% of the starch is present, right? Now next that we are going to see is the major portion of that is production. This is the most important. These are some produced naturally in plants, animals or microorganism. Amylase produced from microorganism by two different methods, that is fermentative production, either submerged or solid state fermentation. Second is recombinant method. We are not going to see very deeply in these methods, but please remember the name of the method, right? That amylase produced from microorganism, two different methods. Fermentative production, it can be either submerged, right? A little liquid, a little solid, that is submerged, right? Or solid state, complete solid state fermentation. And second is recombinant method. Recombinant method is nothing but if you make some changes in the DNA, RNA, etc. Right? Now the thing is the reasons. The reasons for increased interest in microbial production. This is one of the most important what can we say topic to understand, that why you require microorganisms when you have so much. As you can see here, it is written in first line, produced from plant, animal and or microorganism, right? Then it can be produced from plant, animal, then why require microorganism? So let's see. The growth of microorganism is rapid and this will in turn speed up the production of enzyme, easy to handle when compared to plants and animals, and they will require less space and serve as the most cost effective sources. So as you can see, the growth of microorganism here is really rapid, and you know very well that how microorganisms multiply in speed, right? Also they are, in comparison to plant and animal, they will be easy to handle and they require less space and serve as most cost effective sources, right? They can be easily manipulated using genetic engineering or other means. You can see the second method I talked about, right? In production methodology of amylase, the second method, that is recombinant method, is nothing but genetic engineering. You can easily manipulate using genetic engineering, right? So the first production, there are two types of production, bacterial and fungal amylase, right? By via bacteria also you can obtain amylase, via fungal also, fungus you can obtain amylase. So these are two types. In bacterial amylase, there is a extremely wide range. Its production from bacteria is really cheap and fast from other microorganism. And there are few sources of bacterial amylase like Bacillus coagulans, right? Then Bacillus polymyxa, Bacillus vulgaris, etc. There are a few name of bacteria. And in fungus, if we talk, then fungus enzyme have advantage of being secreted extracellularly. Fungus will excrete extracellularly. In addition, the ability of fungi to travel hard substrate facilitate the hydrolysis process, and fungal species are highly suitable for solid base fermentation, right? So this is again fungal amylase is really good example. Next, if we talk, there is second method of production again, fermentative production of amylase. In this, carbon, nitrogen, moisture level, pH, temperature, incubation period, all these sources are responsible for amylase production, right? For example, in carbon source, common carbon source used are maltose, sucrose and glucose, right? You very well know that maltose, sucrose and glucose have carbon in it, right? That's why you can take it out. You can use the technique, the aim to use the substrate that are waste or byproduct in order to make the process of enzyme production environment friendly, right? The second nitrogen source you can use for the production of alpha amylase. It can be organic or inorganic. You very well know that there are two types of nitrogen source, organic nitrogen and inorganic nitrogen, right? So inorganic nitrogen, it will have ammonium sulfate, ammonium chloride, ammonium hydrogen phosphate, sodium nitrate, etc. And most commonly used organic sources will include peptone, yeast, soybean meal and malt. These are what nitrogen source. I am talking about the organic. Inorganic will have ammonium sulfate, ammonium chloride, ammonium hydrogen phosphate, right? And organic nitrogen will have peptone, yeast extract, soybean meal and malt, M-A-L-T, malt, right? Moisture level, optimum levels of initial moisture content may vary depending on microbial source. So like for initial moisture content, 55 to 90% is most important in amylase fermentative production, right? If we talk about pH, then 5 to 7 pH is optimum pH where you can do production via fermentative method, right? In temperature, 25 to 30 degrees Celsius, it is considered to be the best temperature for fermentation, right? Then incubation period. Incubation period is 3 to 7 days, right? And 6 days is approximately. Mind well, I am talking only about amylase, right? This is not for every enzyme. I am only focusing on amylase enzyme, right? So there is another method, that is next is recombinant amylase, that we have already talked about in last. It is nothing but it is a genetic engineering and recombinant DNA, that is rDNA technology, and these are current molecular techniques used to promote efficient enzyme production. And this will involve selection of efficient amylase gene. Then that gene will be inserted into a vector system, and that will be transformed in an efficient bacterial system to produce a high amount of recombinant protein. So at last step it will be purification of protein. So you understand, again I am repeating the steps. The first step is what? Selection of the gene. Selection of amylase gene, right? That gene will be inserted into appropriate vector system. That whole system will be transformed into bacterial system to produce a high amount of recombinant protein, and that way you can produce amylase. So this is also again nothing but a type of genetic engineering, right? So now these are some of the applications. Production of glucose and fructose by enzymatic conversion of starch. It is used in bakery industry, detergent industry, de-sizing of textiles, paper industry, fuel alcohol production. No need to go in deep. I will tell you when you have to go into the deep. When we will have time, we will go through it. So these are some of the applications. Please remember this. The next is catalase, enzyme that catalyzes the decomposition of hydrogen peroxide into water and molecular oxygen. So this will focus on hydrogen peroxide. It can be used to remove residual hydrogen peroxide in application where hydrogen peroxide is added. So now the types, there are 4 types. Monofunctional heme catalysis, number 1. Second is catalase peroxidase, that is atypical. Third is non-heme catalase, pseudo-catalase. and fourth and last is minor catalase. So remember the bracket names. These are the synonyms: classical, atypical, pseudo catalase and minor catalase. These are the four types of catalase. These are catalase source, right? Sources of the bacteria, as you can see: Staphylococci, Pseudomonas aeruginosa, Bacillus subtilis, Micrococcus, Enterobacteriocae, Mycobacterium tuberculosis. So these are some of the bacterial sources, and as you can see on the next column, that is fungi, Aspergillus fumigates, Candida albicans. So these are some of the sources. Please remember the sources from where catalase can be obtained at the highest level. So now if we talk about catalase production, then from Bacillus subtilis is the major, what can we say, Bacillus subtilis is the major part through which you can obtain catalase. You have to maintain stock culture and seed inoculum, right? You will study this in microbiology, right, about what do you mean by inoculum and stock culture maintenance, right? The stock culture, what will it have? It will have a culture in which you will preserve Bacillus species and is comprised of malt extract. It will have 1.5% malt, 2.0% agar, and it will be maintained at pH 7.5. In seed inoculum, the seed medium will be having malt extract. It will be maintained at 7.5 pH and incubated for 37 degrees Celsius for 48 hours, right? Now production medium, if we are talking production medium, it will have carbon source, nitrogen source, minerals, etc. In carbon source particularly, it will have glucose, starch syrup, soluble starch, etc. Just remember the name, no need to go in deep. Nitrogen sources include ammonium salt, nitrate salt, peptone, meat extract, yeast extract, soybean powder, etc. And in minerals, if we see phosphate, magnesium salt, potassium salt, calcium salt, cobalt salt, zinc, iron, borate, molybdenum salt, and etc. There are a lot of minerals. Remember some names of mineral. It is not that tough, right? Now applications, if we go into deep, then applications of this is in catalase is used in food industry. They are used in biosensors. They are used as a preservative. They are used as anti-corrosive agents. They are used for the removal of hydrogen peroxide from beverage. Remember this application because only this catalase enzyme works highly and heavily on hydrogen peroxide, focusing on removal of hydrogen peroxide from beverages, right? As a functional food. Now, what do you mean by functional food? In this functional food, it will be like for promoting health and protecting many age-related diseases. So sometimes those who have a long-term GIT problems, they can be relieved using catalase enzyme, right? Next is in bioremediation. It can be also used as bioremediation, like hydrogen peroxide is a bleaching agent in textile and paper industry. So traditional methods to remove unused hydrogen peroxide involve extensive washing of bleached fabrics, resulting in generation of alkaline wastewater, right? So hydrogen peroxide is removed with chemicals such as bisulfate, sodium bisulfate, that also lead to high salt level in the process steam. And the high catalytic rate render catalase as attractive eco-friendly alternative for H2O2 removal, that is hydrogen peroxide removal. Other applications, if you see, then they have a really important role in decomposition of hydrogen peroxide within RBC, red blood cells, with half of the hydrogen peroxide generated in cells being deposed by this enzyme. So remember this function very well. As I said, this is the only enzyme that will focus on removal of hydrogen peroxide. This can be asked in your MCQ, right? Now next is, last of this lecture is peroxidase, heme protein and contain iron 3 protoporphyrin as the prosthetic group. Now this is important. Peroxidase reacts by mechanisms similar to catalase, but the reaction catalyze is the oxidation of wide variety of organic and inorganic substrate by hydrogen peroxidase. So you need to understand that peroxidase reacts by mechanisms similar to catalase. The mechanism is quite similar to catalase, right? But it will have wide range of organic and inorganic substance of hydrogen peroxidase. Now class 1, class 3 and class 4, the types of peroxidase are termed as class 1, class 2 and class 3. Class 1 generally belongs to prokaryotic origin, which are intracellular. Class 2 generally belongs to secretory fungal peroxidase, that they focus on fungus majorly. Third is extracellular plant enzymes secreted into cell wall or the surrounding medium. Right, so extracellular plant enzymes secreted into the cell wall or surrounding medium. Right. Now sources of peroxidase, some of the sources are bacterial and fungal. These two are the major sources, and also before we go further, I want to explain about this. In bacterial sources, there are lot of bacteria and organism which will give you enzymes such as Bacillus species strain CS1 to CS2, then Pseudomonas species BSI 20387. There are code of bacteria which will give you a specific enzyme. And in fungus also there are a lot of name of like Libia radiata, right? There are a lot of names of organisms that will give you enzymes which are really important. Going further, we are talking about application. In application, you might be wondering that why there is no any production method, but in this, if we focus, there is only one method for what can we say, this peroxidase, that is fermentation method. In fermentation method, again you have to go through a specific technique, right? Like production of you have to first prepare the first maintain the organism, then you have to prepare the inoculum, and then you have to produce enzyme, right? So we will discuss about the production method in detail, and applications of this are in analysis and diagnostic kit, right? In analysis, if we see, then there is a lot of inherited metabolic disorder. You can use peroxidase. This will be really helpful for some of the people who are suffering with the disease, right? And diagnostic kit also, it is really extremely important. We will talk about this in deep in our next lecture. Detection of cholesterol level in serum, right? So this is also again important. Then peroxidase immunoassays. Now immuno, you know about ELISA, right? ELISA is enzyme linked immunosorbent assay. These are the tests that are designed to detect antigen or antibodies by producing an enzyme triggered change of color, right? So peroxidase immunoassays are again important if you want to identify antigen and antibody, right? Now next is peroxidase biosensors. We have already gone through biosensors. This is the one of the field that will offer great advantage for peroxidase application in comprising electrochemical biosensors, and these can be used in analytical system for determination of hydrogen peroxide and organic hydroperoxide, right? So this is again important. In next application, it is in paper pulp industry. Paper biopulping is a process where extracellular enzyme produced by white rot fungi remain absorbed on the wood chips responsible for degrading lignin. After pulping process, about 10% of lignin which is responsible for characteristic brown color. So these are also important in application in paper pulp industry. Decolorization of synthetic dyes, and these are again, dyes are also used in paper printing, color photograph, textile dyeing, and also as an additive in petroleum industry. So this can be used in decolorization, right? Deodorization of swine manure. So pork meat production is considered as one of the major commercial use of in the food industry, and this large amount of processing of swine manure becomes a serious management and environmental issue. But this peroxidase can be a lot important in odorization of swine manure. So last but not the least, that is commercial use of lactoperoxide. There is a large production of commercial use in lactoperoxide. We will discuss about these applications later. So this was all about today. We are going to see about the other three enzymes in our next video. Till then, keep reading and keep writing down. Till then, thank you so much.